And we kick off this evening with a look at the cinema.
I'm not a complicated man. I like cinema.
It's beautiful, beautiful cinema.
Cinema history come to life.
I found my solace in the small cinema I went to every Thursday night.
I'm a professor of cinema.
I go to the cinema for the stories.
There was no competition between the cinema and seminar.
I mean, it's not within the realm of conventional cinema.
And now,
here's Pace and Johnson
with a cinema review.
It is Monday, June 23rd, 2025, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Cinemaster's Reviews. I'm just going to say it, really great weekend at the movies in terms of quality-wise. We got two exciting reviews tonight. We have 28 years later. This is the third film in the 28 franchise. I guess that is how you would in the 28 Days Later franchise. It's the third entry there, and as well as Elio, the new film from Pixar. Really excited to talk about these movies. Super different movies. I say we jump right in and start with our first review tonight. 28 years later, this is the, as I said, third film in the 28 Days Later franchise. It is once again directed by Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle returns to direct this one. He directed the first one. Did not direct 28 Weeks Later, but he's back in the director's chair for this one. And his first film since yesterday, the 2019 film about what if only one person remembered the Beatles and how they would try to write down their songs and pass them off as their own. This takes place 28 years after the outbreak of the rage virus from the first film. We see that the virus has essentially been contained inside of England, and different communities have not really found a cure and not really return to normal civilization, but they have been able to manage. They have been able to form different communities. They have different settlements, and we are following this one settlement, specifically this one character played by I wrote the actor's name. This one character played by the name of Alfie Williams, who plays the character of Spike. He is reaching the age where everyone in this community, when they reach a certain age, they are asked if they want to become these gatherers or these hunters who go out and try to find supplies for this community. His dad is one of those, Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and he wants to provide a good reason for his community to keep him around. So his dad tries to teach him the ways. There's a lot more that this movie gets into. He has a very sick mother played by Jodie Comer, and he's trying to find ways to essentially just find someone that can heal her and take care of her sickness, all the while trying to handle the fact that there are still many rage virus victims out there beyond the walls that are looking to kill any humans that come their way. I really love that first 28 Days Later movie. It was a very different approach to the zombie storyline. I know they're not technically zombies, they technically never say zombie. At the same time, there are so many things, there are so many properties that don't say the word zombie, even though they totally are zombies. The Walking Dead never says the word zombie. The Last of Us never says zombie. 28 Days Later never says zombies. They're essentially zombie movies. So I'm just going to refer to them as that. But something I love is how much more threatening these zombies in that movie felt. The fact that the second they're bit, they immediately turn into they immediately become infected, and they run a lot faster than normal zombies. So I think Danny Boyle did a really great job making a really scary and but also character focused zombie movie. I loved Cillian Murphy in that first movie. I love Brendan Gleeson. I think Brendan Gleeson is the unsung hero of that first movie. I really like Imogen Poots. Ending is a little strange. I've grown to appreciate it more over the years. I know that first movie was also really known for its for being one of the first movies that was shot on digital and has that really grainy look. I know some people are put off by it. I really enjoyed it. I watched 28 Weeks Later for the first time last week, and I enjoyed it. I think the first half is amazing, where you watch Robert Carlyle trying to protect his family in the opening moments of the apocalypse. But everything when they get to France, when it becomes just a little bigger, I just wasn't that big a fan of that one. Or I wouldn't say I wasn't that big a fan, but I just definitely nowhere near as good as 28 Days Later. So coming into this one, I was mildly intrigued. I was excited to see Danny Boyle back, even outside of 28 Days Later. I love his movies. I love Trainspotting. I love Sunshine. I love Steve Jobs. Many Danny Boyle movies I love. So I was really looking forward to see what he would bring to this franchise again. And I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite movies of the year, and it absolutely made me more reinvigorated in this franchise. I think having Danny Boyle back, I think the number one thing that I would take away from that is he is packing so many ideas and so many story threads that would normally be like, okay, I'm just going to take one of these ideas and stretch it over one movie. He's saying like, no, I have like 3 ideas for a movie in my head. I'm going to put them all together in this one movie. And if we want to make another, and if we want to make more movies after that, fine. I'm going to put them all into this one movie. Just so that way we have the opportunity to do it, just in case this doesn't go well. And with that, it feels like a very meaty movie. For a movie that is under 2 hours, you feel like you get a lot. Like the first half, you are really just with Spike and his dad out in the wild. They have to cross this big, like, narrow bridge that you can only cross at low tide because the tide covers it up during high tide. And that's essentially the first act. The second act is Spike with his mom trying to find a doctor to heal her. Third act, don't really want to get too much into that. If you've seen the trailers, you know. If you've seen the cast billing, you probably know Ray Fiennes shows up. A lot of stuff goes on there. So this feels like a very meaty movie that you get way more than the price of admission for all the stuff that Danny Boyle puts into it. And a lot of times that might make it sound like, oh, this is going to feel like a cluttered movie. This is not going to feel like 3 incomplete stories that don't come together for the sum of its parts. But no, I think all of them really come together and really tell a really full story of where Spike is at the beginning of the movie, and as the movie goes on, he finds his purpose for living again and how he is going to contribute to society to essentially making sure humanity can live on. And I think the ideas that Danny Boyle really tackles here are really, really unique. It creates an incredibly interesting world, especially for a world that would be like a post-zombie apocalypse. Like, you are slowly starting to see the humans rebuild. It never takes a ton of time to like explain all the rules that the society works on. It just really just takes lets you get like it gives you the pieces and says, no, the audience can figure it out for itself. And I honestly love that. I really love that you never have like these big exposition dumps. And it saves the dialogue moments for when characters are just sort of like living their lives, when where Spike is like talking with his grandpa about if his mom is going to make it, or whether Spike's talking with his father about how he needs to be ready, like he cannot show fear when it comes to taking the life of the rage victims. I think it does a really great job at just giving the pieces for you to like gather. For example, all the soldiers in this community use bows, because I think you just sort of gather like, oh yeah, we're 28 years into an apocalypse. Bullets are probably a rarity at this point, so all the humans have gone to using bows and arrows in order to defend themselves against the monsters. And I think it's a really, really creative way of showing how humans defend themselves. Also, it's just cooler in like combat scenes where you have where if a bunch of like rage victims are coming at the humans, how they're not just mowing them down. They have to like take the time to like really like aim for their targets and aim the arrow. Movies does a great job of showing like shooting an arrow is not easy and it takes a lot of force to do it. And the first time Spike does it, you really see him like struggling. And I love how throughout the movie he never really like gets it down, but he like slowly starts to make progress in the movie as the movie goes on. Alfie Williams gives a great child performance as Spike. As the movie starts, he is just like really like wide-eyed and really scared at the fact that he is now going out and being essentially forced to kill humans, essentially. Like they're technically not living, but they still once were humans. And you can tell that like that idea is still really, really affecting him. And it doesn't fall into the trope of like Jamie being like this like really tough and like bad dad and like really hard on his kid to say like, no, I'm going to be pissed off at you for the fact that you can't lose your humanity and just kill these things without a second thought. Like, no, it actually shows him as a sympathetic dad. He understands that that Spike might be might be having these struggles, but at the same time, it shows that, like, hey, you chose to be a fighter in our community. If you're going to do this, you have to take this step. And Alfie Williams does a great job of, as the character goes on, he slowly starts to become not just more confident, but I think just more knowledgeable about the world. Him meeting Ray Fiennes' character. Ray Fiennes plays a doctor that he meets in the third act, and really fun character there. I'll get more into that. Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I said, also gives a solid performance. Jodie Comer, maybe not quite as as much of a standout as I was hoping. I really love Jodie Comer as an actress. I think one of the best performances of the decade so far is her incredible turn in The Last Duel, playing that, like, in a way, like, she has to play a role 3 times in that movie as you see the story from 3 separate sides. In this movie, while a lot of it is her just, like, slowly dying and being really sick, she adds a lot of humanity to that role, and her connection with Spike, Isla is her character's name. Isla's connection with Spike is a really, like, it really has a lot of heart and a really hopeful message to this movie about, like, hey, we're still humans and we can connect in the apocalypse. And what makes us different than the rage victims is the fact that we can still feel and we can still think. And I really love the scenes, specifically in the second act, where it is Spike and Isla just sort of like trying to find a doctor and trying to find a way to save save Jodie Comer's character. Yeah, let's just get into easily the best performance in this movie. Ray Fiennes is so incredible in this film. He's not given a ton to do in this movie. I'm going to guess we know they shot a sequel back-to-back with this movie. My guess is he's probably going to have maybe a little bit more to do in the next movie, but it uses him just enough. He plays a character that at one point is, like, really eccentric when you meet him. Like, without spoiling too much, he has, like, completely found a way to, like, break away from the other communities and is only living for himself at this point. He's found a way to deal with the rage victims. He's named certain ones that he can't quite kill because they become too strong, but he's learned how to subdue them and, like, sort of, like, control them at the same time. So he's very eccentric, but at the same time, he also just plays it super straight. Like, he's like, yeah, you know, I've just covered myself in iodine. It means they won't really smell me. So he comes and he's just, like, glistening red, and it's just such a funny visual. But at the same time, it's Ray Fiennes, so he's, like, super, like, gritty and, like, his his British ways, and, like, and even the way he connects with Spike, how he like sympathizes with Spike and saying, like, hey, you're a kid, you're someone that was conceived after the apocalypse happens, and I don't want to forget that you are still a kid. And while you do need to learn how to grow up in this world, which is a very, very tough world, the fact that he never, like, takes this, like, really, like, brutal and, like, harsh teacher role to him, I think was a really, really refreshing. And without spoiling too much what happens in the third act, it introduces an element that's probably going to become more present in the next few films about, like, okay, how are the humans going to be able to further society again? And I think it has a really profound and emotional message of what it's trying to say, of, like, hey, why are we on this earth? And if the world is going to crap like it is in the 28 Days Later films, is it responsible to be bringing life into society again in order to rebuild, or are we just dooming this generation by even creating them at once? And I think the movie has a really profound message of what it's trying to say. So yeah, really, like, thoughtful blockbuster. And whenever we get those, I always want to champion them, and this is absolutely no different. Even taking apart, looking past all the, like, emotional, like, thematic elements of this film, from a technical aspect, I think this movie is kind of a marvel. There are some of the best shots of the year are in this film. Like, there's one shot where you're just seeing, like, this tree out in the open. You have a super blue sky, and you see all the rage monsters, like, sort of running up above this hill. All the shots of the ocean are beautiful. Whenever you have, like, the characters just sort of, like, relaxing in their community, the way how it handles fire, and the way how natural light is used to, like, light these shots. Really, really beautiful shots. If you've seen the trailers, you probably know that, like, there are certain characters that have, like, built structures out of human bones that have died, and in order to, like, remember the fallen souls And every time you see these, you see it never ceases to like pay attention to these grand scale, grand like objects. I think that's really, really unique. So yeah, one of the better looking films of the year. The editing, I think, is going to be something that is kind of going to be up for debate. It took me a little while to get used to it. Essentially, whenever a human kills a zombie in this movie, you will have the human shoot the arrow, it hits the zombie, and then it will pause, and then it will go back to the action. So, like, it sort of in a way to, like make you, like, focus on what just happened. It could have been Danny Boyle trying to show, like, hey, these are still humans killing humans at the end of the day, to sort of make you get the impact of that. I'm not sure because I really wasn't impacted by that. It took me a little while to get used to this editing style because I did think it was a little out of place at first. But once I did, I actually really liked it, and I think it gave the movie its own style of flair. And I found it really fun going forward. It just added a more visceral element of like, hey, every single monster these characters killed, you're going to have to focus on it. And it really makes you keep track of like, okay, there are 4 coming at them. Okay, one's down. Okay, there's 2 left. Okay, there's 1 left. And I think it just leads to a sense of scale. I love action movies that have a sense of scale, and this is definitely one of them. It ends in a very ambitious point that I think makes you very excited for a sequel. Without spoiling too much, it definitely wraps up its story. Like Spike goes on an arc. He is in one place at the end of the at the beginning of the movie. He is in a completely different place at the end of the film, and I think its story is wrapped up. So it definitely doesn't like leave you with an incomplete story. But the last like 5 minutes of the film are definitely just there to set up for the sequel that is actually going to be coming out in January of 2026. I believe it's called 28 Years Later, The Bone Tower or The Bone Castle. Let me look up the exact name. It has a really cool name. 28 Years Later, Bone Castle. I really hope I get. No, okay, so it is called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. It's going to be directed by Nia DaCosta. So Danny Boyle's not returning for that one, but I believe if this one does well, he will be returning for the last one to essentially close out the franchise, and I think that's really cool. And without spoiling anything, there's a new element added to this franchise in the last 5 minutes that gets me very, very excited for the sequel, and just sort of left me on a really high note of me just saying, wow, I loved this movie, and I wasn't sure really how I was going to be feeling, but I think it ended up being a really, really successful film. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, I'm going to give it a very high 9 out of 10. This is one of the better movies of the year, easily one of the best blockbusters of the year. Probably my favorite like franchise movie in general. Really brings the Final Destination franchise. It reminds us why we love these movies in general. Or no, not Final Destination. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Blood. Reminds us why we love the 28 Days Later movies, especially that first one, and just sort of expands upon it. Personally, I probably like this movie more than most. I think it's even better than that original film. I think that original film has a few issues that sort of hold me back from it being like an all-timer for me. This one has a few things that took me a little while to get used to. There's one, earlier I said there's not like a ton of exposition in this movie. There's one line that just feels super out of place where Jamie, Spike's dad, is sort of explaining how the bridges in this community works, that I was just like, this feels written in a way that the other lines of dialogues didn't, and that felt strange. But no, overall, I thought I loved this movie. I would really recommend going to see this in theaters, especially if you love those original movies. Even if you're not like a horror fan, where like you find horror movies too scary, I don't think it's that scary. And I think if you just love movies about humans just asking like important questions, I think this is a movie to see. And I think in our times where we might be asking questions that the characters in the movie are asking, I think it is a very, very valuable movie to go see. But I say we hop right into the next movie that I'm going to be reviewing tonight, that being Elio. This is directed by Madeline Shafran, Dom Yushi, and Adrian Molina. This is the newest film from Pixar. It follows a young boy by the name of Elio, whose parents are sort of out of his life. It's not really entirely explained why they are, but he is now living with his aunt who works for NASA. And Elio has an obsession with aliens, and specifically the extraterrestrial. He loves the idea that there is life out there that we can't explain, that is outside of our grasp, and he really wants to find aliens, even though his aunt doesn't really let him in on his life. He's sort of just accepted that, hey, he's probably never going to find one, but one day aliens come. They believe he's the ambassador of Earth, and he is attempting to make peace with two alien races that are starting to become at war with each other. I love Pixar. I think Pixar's ceiling is so high with the best Pixar movies out there. Movies like The Incredibles, movies like WALL-E, movies like the Toy Story movies, Finding Nemo, Ratatouille. Those are some of the best animated movies of all time. Pixar seems to be really like comfortable with just making sequels now. They'll still occasionally do original movies, and I'm always a little bit more interested in that. Walking into this movie, the marketing hadn't really done a lot for me. I was like, okay, I'm happy Pixar's making an original movie. I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about this. This shows that Pixar's like most recent marketing has not been the greatest, because this movie's really good, guys. And I saw this the lowest grossing weekend for a Pixar movie, and I really hope it has an elemental effect where more people start catching on to how good it is, because Elio really worked for me. It's been a second where I've seen a Pixar movie that is this original and has this amount of like new ideas. It reminded me of the Pixar of the 2000s. This one isn't really about like family trauma in any way. This isn't one about like characters dealing with like long-standing family traditions. We are watching this character who has a really cool interest, gets sucked into this really weird scenario, and they just sort of like navigating this conflict and trying to figure out a way to, by the end of the movie, literally save the world. Which, if I have one major complaint, I don't think a Pixar movie has ever really had the stakes of this one, where it's like, well, if Elio fails in not finding peace between these two alien races, the world has a chance to literally get destroyed. And I think that was like a little off-putting. I was like, whoa, okay. I think it almost gets a little too big for itself at a point, but like, I'll take too big over too small and like doing the same thing over. And I really like that Pixar took a big swing with this. The visuals and the design of this movie are so eye-popping. They almost are like a little overstimulating at points, where like there are shots in this movie where it feels like I'm looking at a rainbow, like just like multiple rainbows just hitting me in the face at once, with the fact that you have like dozens of alien races on screen at once. They're all different colors. They all have these cool designs. Some of them are fluffy, some of them are scaly, some of them are slimy, some of them are big, some of them are small. It's just really cool to look at. And watching the movie, I'm just like trying to keep track of like, okay, that's cool. Like I said, it's almost overstimulating, but I really appreciate how just like how rich this world feels. And when Elio does go up to space, how it really does feel like, okay, we are in the animator's hands right now, and we're just putting our faith in him, putting our faith in them to like create this really cool world. The character of Elio, he's kind of your prototypical Disney protagonist, where he's a little off kilter, a little out there, has his own zany interests, but he's also so eccentric that you can't help but be charmed. Like, it's not quite a Lilo from Lilo's Stitch feeling, where like Lilo's obviously off kilter and obviously a little eccentric, but she always feels a little bit, but she never doesn't feel like a real kid. Elio seems like really out there and like really weird at points. But yeah, like I said, there's just something charming about the fact that he just wants to see aliens because he doesn't fit in, and he wants to believe that the world is bigger than what we see. And when he finds the aliens, he starts to realize, like, man, maybe I did have it good on Earth. Maybe I am out of my element here. So enjoyed Elio, but the character of this movie that everyone is going to grab onto is the side character Glordon, voiced by Remy Ellergy. This is the Glordon is the son of the main villain of this movie. That is something I should say. It's been a while since a Pixar movie had a true full-out villain. The character of Lord Grygon, voiced by Brad Garrett, is the villain of this movie, portrayed as like the war-mongering alien. But this Lord Grygon has a son named Glordon. Glordon is the most lovable character I've seen in an animated movie in a long time. It has this really fun design where it's really just like this big chunky slug that doesn't have a single negative thought about it. When Elio meets Glordon's like in this like even it's just like, oh, hello, who are you? And Elio's like, oh, I'm Elio, and they sort of get off. Glordon's just sort of like at its through its core just kind of gross, but Elio just grows to accept Glordon because Glordon's just so charming and so nice to Elio that they just end up just having fun and just having like this really beautiful friendship. You learn that Glordon is like supposed to be this character that is gonna go out and lead the army that Lord Grygon leads. Lord Grygon is annoyed that Glordon is doesn't really have like this like violent nature to him. But Glordon doesn't like hate his dad by any means. He's just like he just doesn't have any way to communicate with him, and it's just so fun just watching this character just have like the weirdest and like most like crazy situations throw themselves at him, and he just can't help but still have a positive eye and like, yep, we're I'll be able to I'll be able to get through this. The like third act of the movie kind of centers on Glordon and how he fits into the conflict between these two alien races, and what happens there is a really, really charming thing. The movie gets the arc of Glordon with his dad, without spoiling too much, made me really emotional. Like, Pixar has a way of pulling on your heartstrings. Like, I shouldn't have to tell you about the opening of Up or Bing Bong's death in Inside Out, but when Pixar wants to make you emotional, it is usually very, very successful, and this is no exception. The storyline with Elio and his aunt is a little bare bones for me. Like, I wasn't super connected with that, but watching this movie, I was like, man, can I just get a movie about Glordon and his dad and like how they got to this point? Because that was everything that I felt like that to me was like, that was S tier Pixar. The movie around it was kind of B tier, or a movie around it was sort of like low B tier. And I think it sort of went to a B tier movie, but man, like I can't help but recommend this movie because that character of Glordon reminded me of why we loved Pixar back when they were first starting, because we had characters like this, and it was able to pull on our emotions that successfully. Like has a ton of really fun characters, and builds a really interesting world. It does, if I were to say one other like major downside, it does focus a lot. If you heard me describe the plot, they obviously think Elio is the ambassador of Earth. Elio goes along with this lie. So you know it's building towards a liar revealed storyline. I think I've said this many, many times in the show. That is one of the easiest tropes for movies to fall into, specifically animated movies that are geared towards kids, where a character finds themselves in a different with a different group of people, lies about who they are, and you're just building towards the fact that they're eventually going to be caught in their lie. The other characters hate them. They go on for like 15, 20 minutes until they realize, hey, even though I'm not what I said I was, maybe I kind of am, and I can still go help those characters. It kind of does that. I shouldn't say kind of. It definitely does that. It sort of slows the movie down, but I do think the emotional element of the climax is strong enough that I can look past that. But yeah, I thought Elio was really, really successful, and I really hope Pixar can get back to this formula of making these really great original movies, as opposed to their other formula of still sort of they're starting to run back to the sequel train a little more and more, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I really liked Inside Out 2, I enjoyed Incredibles 2, I still love the Toy Story sequels. But I'm so much more interested in movies like Elio, or movies like Turning Red, or movies like Soul, where you have original stories about these really unique characters that Pixar is trying to tell us. And I hope this movie finds its audience in a successful way, so Pixar can take notice that we do want movies like this. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, I'm going to give it an 8. I think this was a great animated film. It's a really fun adventure. Has really cool visuals, and yeah, we stand Glordon every I stand Glordon with every fiber of my body. If you have if you have kids and you want to take them to a movie, I would really recommend you take them to see this. I enjoyed How to Train Your Dragon. I think this is better than How to Train Your Dragon. I think it's much better than Lilo and Stitch, and I don't want Disney to forget that, like, hey, you can still make original movies again. Like I know this Pixar is not Disney Animation Studios, but I want them to remember, like, hey, you don't need to keep making live action remakes. You don't need to keep making sequels to those Disney animated movies. Like, it used to be so rare that we got sequels to movies that were made specifically by Disney, but now we have a sequel to Frozen. Now we have a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. We're getting a sequel to Zootopia, which I'm sure is going to break bank in the box office. But I want them to. My personal hope as a movie fan is we don't lose really cool and original animated movies like Elio. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the video store. It helps grow our channel a lot. Next week, I'm going to be reviewing F1 and Megan 2.0. Really looking forward to talking about those movies with you guys. Thank you all for watching, and till next time, watch more movies.
And the award for most vapid film review of the century goes to...
Okay, movie review. Okay, I thought it was Beauty.
And he's now in cinema hell, where one day we'll all be reunited.
This is me at the Regal Cinema crying as I did through much of the film.